After sharing my tools and helping with his roof, I walked outside to see my shed smashed and a for sale sign in my yard. I told the realtor you were moving, my neighbor smiled. That night, I printed every text, every favor, every photo, and handed it to the HOA president with one final recording. I've lived in the same small neighborhood in Overland Park, Kansas, for over 15 years. Quiet street, mostly older folks like me. I lost my wife to cancer 5 years ago. My daughter visits when she can, but mostly it's just me and my tools and my yard. I like things simple. Then Ryan and Sarah moved in next door. New people, young couple, 2 kids. Moved from somewhere in Texas. Ryan came over the first week with a 6-pack and some big smile. "Hey, I'm Ryan. Hope we'll be good neighbors." I said sure. I didn't think much of it. Next day, he asked to borrow a post-hole digger. Then a saw. Then a wheelbarrow. I kept a little notebook in the garage to remember where my tools were, but back then, I didn't even bother writing it down. I figured he'd bring them back. He didn't. Not most of them. I ended up going over a week later to ask for the saw back. He laughed it off. "Oh shoot, man, I totally forgot. Here, didn't even use it much." It was dirty. Blade was dull. Still, I didn't say anything. I just took it and nodded. He kept doing it. "Hey, can I use your power washer? Mind if I store this lumber in your shed for the weekend? You got a long extension cord?" He never returned anything without me asking first. Sometimes I'd go get it myself, and it'd be out in his yard, rained on, plugged in, or being used by one of his buddies. I got irritated, yeah. But I kept quiet. Then last fall, he asked if I could help him re-roof his garage. "It's like 2 days of work, tops," he said. "I'll grab beers after." It turned into 4 days. In the heat. Up on that roof, holding boards while he talked on the phone, texting, disappearing for long stretches. No beers. No lunch. No thank you. I should have stopped then. But I didn't. 1 week later, I noticed my snowblower was gone from the shed. I checked the garage. Nothing. Then I looked outside and saw Ryan using it on his driveway. I walked over and stood there. He waved. "Oh hey, yeah, meant to text you. Mine's busted, just needed to clear the drive. You could have asked." He laughed. "You weren't using it." I stood there a second longer, then walked back. I should have told him off, but I didn't. Winter passed. Spring came. I saw more of my stuff disappear. Once I caught his kid using my chainsaw like a toy. I didn't say anything because the kid's 6. But that was it. I started locking the shed. Put cameras up, too. He complained about that. "Come on, man, we're neighbors. You don't need to act like we're criminals. You don't return what you borrow." He laughed again. "You're serious? I thought we were just helping each other out." I didn't argue. But that's when I started keeping receipts. Screenshots. Photos. Everything. Then May hit. On a Thursday morning, I went out back to check on some plants. My shed door was off the hinge. One side looked like it had been hit hard, split wood, lock busted clean off. Inside, my shelves were wrecked, stuff thrown everywhere. Several of my tools were gone. And when I turned around toward the street, I saw a for sale sign in my front yard. Not in the grass. Jammed in hard, right by the mailbox. My name had been on it, but someone had scratched it out and wrote something else over it in marker. Ryan and Sarah's real estate company. I stood there, just staring. That's when I saw him. On his porch, drinking coffee like it was just another day. I walked up. Calm. "What the hell is this?" He didn't even flinch. "Oh, that?" "I told the realtor you were moving. Figured I'd help get the ball rolling." "You did what?" He grinned. "Come on, man. You've been talking about downsizing, right? It's a seller's market. Trying to help." I never said that. And you don't put a sign in someone's yard without asking. He shrugged. Just thought I'd give you a little push. I didn't say anything else. I just turned around and walked back inside. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table and pulled out everything I had. Screenshots. Texts. Photos of him using my equipment. Dates. Times. I even had a shot of him storing furniture in my garage when I wasn't home. And then I remembered the recording. Months ago, while we were working on his garage, he'd said something offhand. I'd been recording part of the day on my phone so I could remember some measurements he'd mentioned. But I caught it. Him laughing, saying, honestly, if the old guy next door kicks it soon, I'm buying his place for nothing. Just gotta give him a little nudge. He thought it was funny. I put that file on a USB drive. I printed everything. Bound it. Made 3 copies. One for the HOA. One for a lawyer I know through my daughter. One for myself. Next morning, I knocked on Carol's door. She's the HOA president. Been running it for a decade. I handed her the binder. Told her, I'm done letting this man walk all over me. She flipped through the first few pages, looked at the pictures, then a screenshot of the sign in my yard. Let me take care of this, she said. 3 days later, the fallout began. On Sunday morning, I saw Carol walking door to door with a folder under her arm. That caught my attention. She's not the kind of woman who wastes her time making social calls. Not in 80-degree heat. By noon, I'd already had 2 neighbors knock on my door. Is it true he took your shed door off? One asked. Another one asked if it was true Ryan had tried to list my house without telling me. I told them the truth, just like I'd told Carol. No yelling. No drama. Just facts. By Monday, the HOA called an emergency board meeting. Now, normally those things are quiet affairs. 10 people at most. This time, they had to move it to the church basement because so many people showed up. I didn't speak at first. I wasn't going to. I'd given them the binder, the photos, the texts. It should have spoken for itself. But then Ryan walked in. He strolled up like he was just stopping in for a bake sale. Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. Didn't know there was a meeting. Carol didn't say a word. She slid a printed photo across the table to him. It was the image of the smashed shed door. That look familiar? She asked. Ryan glanced down, then laughed. Oh, that, come on, Carol. That's just a misunderstanding. I thought we were borrowing space. I figured he didn't mind. That's not what it looks like, she said. And neither does a for sale sign planted in someone's yard without permission. His face changed then. His smile dropped a little. I was just trying to help him out. Then someone from the crowd said, you tried to sell his house? Another person added, he's been using other people's garages too. Left junk in mine last fall. That set the room off. Voices rising. Everyone had a story. A ladder that never came back. A missing pressure washer. Lawn equipment left rusting in the rain. Ryan raised his hands, trying to talk over them. Okay, can we calm down here? It's not like I stole anything. Then Carol played the recording. I'd given her permission. The clip was only 20 seconds, but that was enough. Ryan's voice, clear as day, if the old guy next door kicks it soon, I'm buying his place for nothing. Just gotta give him a little nudge. The room went silent. He tried to talk. It was a joke. We were working. That's not what I meant, but nobody cared. Not anymore. Carol closed the binder in front of her and said, we'll be voting on a formal complaint and a fine. Possibly more. Ryan left in a hurry. His wife wasn't with him. That night, I saw him pacing on his driveway. Talking on his phone. Yelling. Over the next few days, things moved fast. First, a warning from the HOA. Then a second letter about violating community standards, harassment, and unauthorized use of other residents' property. Then his real estate agent dropped him. Carol had called them directly, told them everything. They didn't want to be part of it. By Friday, someone spray-painted "Neighbor from Hell" on his trash can. Not me, I don't do that sort of thing, but I admit I didn't feel bad when I saw it. The next week, a city inspector showed up. Apparently, someone filed a report about construction violations on Ryan's garage. The one I helped him fix. Turns out, he never filed for a permit. He got a $1,200 fine and a warning. Then someone reported an unlicensed rental. Turns out Ryan had been renting out part of his house through one of those vacation apps. Total violation of HOA rules. Another fine. Another strike. Sarah moved out 2 weeks later. Took the kids and left. I don't know where she went. I saw her loading the car in silence. Ryan just stood on the porch, arms crossed, not helping. Now it's just him. I see him less and less. His grass is overgrown. Trash bins stay out for days. He barely speaks to anyone. When he does, it's short and bitter. But this isn't over. Not yet. Because last night, I found something in my mailbox. No stamp. No envelope. Just a folded piece of paper. In handwriting I didn't recognize, it said, "Be careful. He blames you." There were no initials. No signature. Just that one sentence. I read that note at least 20 times that night. Be careful. He blames you. It didn't make sense at first. I don't have enemies here. I don't even talk to most people beyond a polite wave or a "how's the weather?" But the handwriting wasn't Ryan's. That much I was sure of. It was too neat. Looked like a woman's. Maybe someone from the HOA. Maybe even Sarah. I didn't sleep much. The next morning, I checked the cameras I had set up around the shed and front door. Nothing new. No late-night visitors. No movement at all. But someone must have walked up close enough to drop that note. That same day, I got a call from a woman named Diane who lives 2 blocks down. She's quiet, keeps to herself. She said she wanted to meet in person. We sat at the cafe by the strip mall, and she slid a phone across the table. Ryan dated my niece before Sarah, she said. Didn't end well. I heard what's been going on. Figured you might want to see this. It was a text thread. From a month back. Her niece had sent her a message saying Ryan had been ranting about someone stealing his future. How he was sick of old farts getting in the way and how the neighborhood was ripe for someone with balls to take over. He'd bragged to her that he had plans to flip a few properties starting with mine. Then Diane looked me in the eye and said, "He's not just mad. He's petty. You embarrassed him. That's not something he lets go of." I thanked her. I went home. And I started watching my back. The first thing I noticed was small. Real small. My trash bins were knocked over one morning. Could have been wind, sure. But it kept happening. 3 times in a week. Then someone rang my doorbell at 3 a.m. No one was there when I opened the door. Another day, I found dog poop smeared across my mailbox handle. Not just tossed in there, smeared. Like someone took time. Again, could have been a random kid. But it didn't feel random. The last straw was the dead squirrel. Someone had left it in a Ziploc bag on my porch. That's when I took the whole folder, the new photos, the note, Diane's text screenshots, and filed for a restraining order. It was granted. When the sheriff showed up to serve Ryan, I watched from my window. He didn't say a word. Just took the paper and shut the door in the officer's face. A day later, the real escalation started. I came home from running errands to find my house egged. Not just the front door. Windows, garage, side paneling, the whole thing. And scrawled in red spray paint on the driveway, "Old bastards die slow." That was the first time I truly felt afraid in my own home. I called the police. They took photos. Said they'd do extra patrols. But there wasn't much they could do without video proof. So I upgraded my cameras. Installed motion sensors. Started sleeping with a bat beside the bed. Then, 3 nights ago, I got a motion alert at 2:11 a.m. I pulled up the live feed. There he was. Ryan. Walking along the sidewalk across from my house. Not on my property, technically. But he stopped right in front of my yard. He looked up. Straight at the camera. Smiled. And walked away. After that night, I barely left the house. I only went out for food and gas, and even then, I made it quick. The cops came again, took the spray paint message seriously this time. They asked if I had enemies. I gave them Ryan's name. They nodded, but without catching him in the act, it was just more suspicion on a growing pile. Then something happened I didn't expect. Carol from the HOA called. Said I needed to come to the next meeting, urgent business. I showed up. Sat in the back. Didn't say anything. But when the meeting started, Carol stood up and cleared her throat. We have received multiple complaints and disturbing reports about a member of this community, including evidence of harassment, threats, vandalism, and violations of HOA rules. Ryan wasn't there. But someone else stood up. Tom, the guy who lives 2 doors down from me. Big guy, truck mechanic, keeps to himself. He held up a box. I caught him throwing nails in my driveway. I've got it on video. He didn't know I put in a camera above the garage. He plugged in a flash drive. Played the clip. It was Ryan. Clear as day. Walking by, hand in his pocket, scattering something shiny on Tom's driveway around midnight. More people stood up. One woman had photos of her tires slashed, only after I told him to stop using our side gate, she said. Someone else caught him trying to siphon gas from a lawnmower. It wasn't just me anymore. That's when Carol said they were starting the formal process of removal. Not just fines or warnings. Permanent removal from the HOA, and possibly legal action. But that wasn't even the biggest twist. After the meeting, as people were filing out, Sarah, Ryan's wife, showed up. She asked to speak with me privately. I didn't know he'd gone this far, she said. Her voice was low, nervous. She kept glancing at the door. He's not well. He's been spiraling since everything happened. He feels like everyone turned on him. He talks to himself at night. Blames you. Blames the HOA. Blames the neighborhood. Then she reached into her purse and handed me a flash drive. I found this on his laptop. I think you should have it. I asked, what's on it? She just shook her head. I didn't watch it all. But I know some of it's about you. She looked at me one more time. I left him for a reason. Be careful. Then she left. I went straight home and plugged the drive into my old laptop, one not connected to the internet, just in case. There were 8 video files. All labeled by date. The earliest one was from 9 months ago. He'd been filming me. Not just casual camera phone stuff, actual footage. From across the street, through a long lens. Me mowing my lawn. Me talking to my daughter in the driveway. Me carrying groceries in. Me fixing the shed. And one video, just one, was labeled plan. I clicked it. It was Ryan. Sitting in his garage. Talking to the camera like a vlog. She doesn't know I'm recording this, he started. But I need to get this on tape in case something happens. This guy, my neighbor, he's been pushing me. Undermining me. The HOA takes his side. Everyone thinks he's this nice old man, but he's sneaky. Dangerous. He kept going. A full rant. Delusional stuff. Saying I was spying on him. That I was plotting to get him kicked out. That I had people helping me. Then he said something that made me go cold. I've got a plan. He thinks he's safe. He's not. I'm going to make sure nobody wants to live near him again. He's going to lose everything. Slowly. I shut the laptop. Sat in silence. This man had been planning to ruin me. Bit by bit. And the worst part was, he'd almost done it. But he wasn't finished yet. Because the next morning, I woke up and my bedroom window, was cracked. A small, perfect hole. Like from a pellet gun. And on the sill was another note, taped with blue painter's tape. You should have moved when I gave you the chance. I called the police again. They came, took photos of the window and the note, and I handed them the flash drive Sarah had given me. The officer who took it asked, "Do you have somewhere else you can stay?" That hit harder than anything else. Not "we'll handle this," not "we'll arrest him." Just that question, "Do you have somewhere else you can stay?" I didn't. This was my home. I'd built every shelf, patched every corner, buried my wife's rose bush out front with my own hands. I told him no. That afternoon, I drove to the courthouse and requested a second restraining order, this time with the new evidence. They granted it again, with more restrictions. No contact. No passing by my property. Nothing. But everyone knew paperwork wasn't going to stop Ryan. Later that week, I noticed something different. Subtle. Cars slowing in front of my house. People I didn't recognize taking photos. I finally asked one guy what he was doing. He said, "I saw the ad, distressed property, motivated seller. Thought I'd come see it myself." Ryan had listed my home online. Without my knowledge. Again. Using photos that were clearly taken without permission, some from over the fence. It wasn't legal. But it was clever. Made me look unstable. Made people wonder if I was moving. Undermined me quietly. That night, I had a headache so bad I thought I'd throw up. I turned off every light in the house and just sat in the hallway, gripping the bat. At some point, I fell asleep sitting up. Next morning, I saw footprints in the garden bed under my cracked window. Fresh. Deep. Like someone had stood there a while. I showed the police again. They said they'd increase patrols. But I could see it in their eyes, they knew how this looked. A slow war. And they didn't have a clean way to stop it unless Ryan crossed some specific line. Then Carol came by. She handed me a sealed envelope. This was mailed to the HOA, but I think you should see it first. It was a formal legal threat. From a lawyer representing Ryan. He was accusing me of harassment. Of intimidation. Of damage to his property. It was laughable, except it was real. And he had filed it. I called my daughter. Told her I might need legal help. She offered to fly in, but I told her no. I didn't want her in the middle of it. I didn't want her around him. That same night, I went to the garage and flipped through the binder again, the one I'd given the HOA. I added the new notes. The new photos. I updated everything. Then I did something I hadn't done before. I wrote a letter. To Ryan. Not to send. Just to write. I told him everything he'd taken from me, peace, trust, dignity. That I knew men like him didn't stop until they were forced to. That I wasn't scared of him. That I wasn't leaving. And I ended it with one line, "You don't get to decide when I'm done." I folded it and slid it into the back of the binder. 3 days later, someone torched his car. Burned the hood clean off. Melted the paint. The fire department came. Cops came. Ryan stood outside, screaming at everyone. He swore I did it. Screamed my name so loud the whole block heard. I was in my kitchen. Camera rolling. Windows shut. I didn't say a word. No one could prove who did it. I didn't do it. I don't know who did. But something changed after that. He stopped walking past my house. The lights at his place stayed off most nights. And 2 weeks later, a moving truck showed up in front of his house. He didn't say goodbye to anyone. Just packed. Loaded. Left. But even now, months later, I still check the cameras every night. Because when someone tells you to move, and you don't, they don't always forgive that. Sometimes I still find myself staring at the edge of the yard, where his property line used to begin, half expecting him to come back, standing there with that smug look like none of it ever happened. I never got an apology. No explanation. Just damage, silence, and the feeling that I'll never quite relax in this house again. And the worst part is, I don't think he's done. I think he's just waiting for me to forget.